Diwali is a colorful and popular Hindu festival known as the Festival of Lights. It is celebrated by Hindus around the world and in Western New York. Each year, the Hindu Culture Society on North French Road in Gettsville hosts a program of music, dance, food, and fireworks at the Hindu temple to celebrate Diwali. This year, due to COVID-19, the Diwali commemoration will be limited. In this season of the pandemic, we thought we would use this pause as an opportunity to learn about the history of the Hindu Culture Society, visit the temple, and view a short video of the Diwali celebration of last year. Okay, I'm very pleased to welcome a good friend, Dr. Dilip Sinha, one of the founders of the Hindu Culture Society and the building of the temple here out on North French Road. Welcome, Dilip.
Thank you very much, Stan. I'm really happy to be here.
And we want to talk to you a little bit about the Hindus first coming to Western New York, as well as the building of the Hindu Culture Society, that community, and then eventually the building of the temple.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I would be pleased. Hindus are probably one of the later communities that came to this part of the country. In 1950s, maybe few, very few, late 50s, and 60s when I came around 1967, 68, there weren't too many Hindus here. There were only few families. Then after 1972, when the immigration was relaxed a little bit, then many more people came and migrated to this area. But most of the people at that time were either scientists, doctors, engineers, all professionals associated with the university or Roswell Park and this kind of thing, research institutes, or very few maybe who are doing residency and all that. Then at that time when we started gathering, more people were in the community, so we started feeling a gap in our spiritual activity. So that's when we started thinking about doing something to get together and at least participate in some sort of spiritual activities.
Now, Hindus often worship at home. You don't need a gathering place, but particularly here it was important for Hindus to gather in Western New York.
It is very true, Stan. Hindus worship at home, prefer to worship at home. As a matter of fact, all Hindus probably have a little shrine at home. You look at any Hindu family. But the thing is, we also are habituated to go to Hindu temples. Now, here having no temples, so what we wanted to do is just make believe some places that we can go and practice together, and also that would be a fellow feeling that all Hindus can get together in some sort of places.
Now, there was a challenge when you tried to build the building that we're standing in front of. It was the original Hindu Cultural Society building. You ran into zoning problems.
Yes, Stan. Originally we were practicing at home, different places, basements, but that was not enough. More and more people started coming. So we felt that we need some place to get together. And then fortunately we found a land. This land was donated by one of the doctors, almost 10 acres of land. And so we wanted to build something. And money was scarce, and we just managed to have something built, enough money, and we had the plan. An architect, when we went to the town, then we found out that some neighborhood people they're objecting. They thought there was no such thing as Hindus here, that is, this was kind of cult, and they objected in the town. We were prepared to fight, and BAM was at that time interfaith group, Buffalo area Metropolitan Ministries.
And Bishop Head, I
That is right.
supporting statement,
Bishop Head,
and many of the other religious leaders joined him,
yes,
and you were able to build this building.
yes, we were able to build with the support from the community, community leaders, and all the religious group, many religious groups, and we were able to build and open this particular building 1984.
Now, we're going to move to the other location in front of the temple, and we'll talk about the story of the building of the temple.
Yes, we can.
Dilip, we're standing in front of the beautiful Hindu temple on North Forest Road, and tell us the story about how this was constructed and planning and so forth that went into it.
Yes, Stan, we were talking about the other building. We had that for a while, and then the community started growing, more people were coming, more Hindus, the Hindu community is growing bigger and bigger. Then we realized that, first of all, that building is not enough for us. And second, that is not a temple. That was a hall, and we used to get together just for spiritual activities, but not a real temple that is a Hindu deities and all that you can worship. So we needed a real temple, and that's when we started making effort and procuring fund, raising money, and so that's. And finally, we hired an Indian architect and to make it a real temple, and we started working on it. But unlike the other building, we didn't have any objection from anybody.
There were no zoning issues raised.
No zoning issue, nothing. Everything went smooth, and money came in, and we had that building, and we opened it in 1996.
1996. Well, I bet it was a challenge, though, to raise enough money to build this.
This is very interesting. It was a challenge. I was president at that time. We went to banks, and banks were kind of reluctant to give us money. We didn't even want loan. We wanted a line of credit, and even the banks were kind of reluctant. First of all, they kind of came from where we don't know, and then they gave us an excuse that religious organization, we don't lend money. But anyway, our community was generous enough, and that eventually, of course, the bank gave us a loan. It's not a loan; it's a line of credit, but the community was generous enough to really donate, and in 2 years, we really paid up everything, and it took about 2 years, 2 to 3 years to raise fund, and whatever personal loans we had, in 2 years we paid up everything. So we are loan free.
I remember about 5 years ago, you put the domes.
Yes, actually Hindu temples are not complete enough until you get those shikhars. They call shikhars, the dome, steeples. And we had, about 5 years ago, we had this built in. And there was a big ceremony, if you remember.
I remember. Large tent. People came from all over the world.
This is right. And many priests came over from different parts of the country and different parts of the world. And we had a big ceremony, and big cranes and came up and put those things up.
Well, Dr. Dilip Sinha, thank you very much for sharing the story of the beginning of the Hindu Culture Society and the building of the Hindu temple here in Western New York.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
We are now in the upstairs of the temple building that we saw, and this is the Hindu temple itself. Yes. And I'm very pleased to welcome Utsuri Raman, who is going to give us a tour, explain what happens in each of the different booths, but first, to introduce the priest.
Yes, thank you. Before we get started, let's introduce the priest. Our priest's name is Sri Ranganathan, and whatever the worship we do in each deity, he's the sacred person chosen. He's been there for decades, at least 3 decades here. So I wanted to ask Ranganathan ji to say a few words if you want to.
सर्वेभ्यो महाजनेभ्यो नमः नमः सदसे नमः सदसस्पतये नमः सखीनां पुरोगानां चक्षुषे नमो दिवे नमः पृथिव्यै सप्रतसभां मे गोपायां येष सभ्या सभासदः तानिन्द्रियावतः कुरु सर्वमायुरुपासताम् अहिर्बुध्नियमन्त्रं मे गोपाय ऋचः सामान्ययोगुंसि ताहि श्रीः अमृता सतां सर्वेभ्यो महाजनेभ्यो नमः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः.
So typically, before we worship, we approach the priest, and priest maintains his lifestyle, which is all the time sacred. See, for us, we have some sway here and there, and who enters that particular sannidhi there, you or me, we cannot just like that enter. Only the priest is allowed to enter, and he maintains the serenity all the time throughout his life. That is what he is committed, and we always worship the Lord through the priest. Okay, that's the priority.
Now, if we turn here, again, there's an area where there's fire, and then we begin to see the roofs
Different
of the
deities.
deities.
Yes.
Could you mention each of them?
Correct. And first, let's start with the deity. What we see here, there is a elephant-faced deity. We call it as Ganesha. And Ganesha is worshipped all the time, anything you begin. So he does blessing for you to start anything. And also he is the one who maintains the not to have any obstruction during your process. So whether you construct a house, new school education, starting a business, marriage ceremony, doesn't matter what we do, all the time it has to begin here with his worship, then we are allowed to go everywhere else, right?
And so, can you mention the different areas in the front
Yes.
for each of the deities?
So we have about 8 deity, we call it as sannidhis. It's like a booth, it is a sannidhi, and it is typically what is special for each deity and how it has to be worshipped. We worship within that, the sanctorium there. Now if you see here, there is a fireplace, we call it as Yajna Kunda. Yajna Kunda is, say we worship, it's a single Lord, and the Lord is invisible, and the Lord is worshipped through what is visible. And we believe the fire is the messenger between the gross, the things what we see around, we have the materials to worship, and it has to be reached to the gods who are in the subtle form. They don't have any form, but they have a function. So this fireplace here, what we do, we worship a particular, the chant, and offer that particular offering to that deity. The fire is the one who reaches that one to a particular god. So that is why there is a purification place here, and you will see pretty much in all sacred ceremonies, the offerings are given to the fire, and fire is the communicator between the gross world and the subtle world, right? And we have Shiva Sannidhi there in the front. If you want, we can go there also.
Okay. You could just mention what each of them, and then we'll take some video of them.
Okay.
So just name each of them.
So there we have Shiva Sannidhi, we call it as Lingam. Lingam is a particular form of the Lord. See, as you know, the Lord does not have any form. And we have given a particular form so that we can perceive the Lord in a particular way. So the Shiva is worshipped in a symbolic form. If you see, there is a spherical form on the top, and that spherical form is considered to be the universe is in that form. And this is being worshipped like thousands and thousands of years. So that is called Shivalingam. Next, when we come to a deity called Durga Mata. So Durga Mata is the energy for three things within the creation itself. What makes a human and animal, the difference between these two? One is the ability to know, and next one is ability to desire. Next one is ability to function, to do. So those three energies combined is that Durga Mata, which is worshipped here on the second deity. And the third one is the Rama Parivar. There is a Hanuman, Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita there. And there is a Vishnu, deity over there. Vishnu is the Vaishnavas, the key deity who is worshipped. And next to that, it is Radha and Krishna. You might have heard about Bhagavad
yes.
Gita. And that deity is in that Sannidhi. And there is Dattatreya in the other Sannidhi. He is representative of all the three gods. We have trinities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. So he's the combined deity who represents as a teacher.
Mhm.
So we worship him as a teacher. Then on the last part of it, we have Mahavir. The Jains, they
Yes.
worship Mahavir as
And the Jains are part of the Hindu
Hindus.
society here.
Correct. So they have got a separate Sannidhi for them to worship. That is the Mahavira Sannidhi.
Well, Murali Rasan, thank you very much for giving us this quick tour.
Mhm.
And we're going to look in more detail at each of those. Thank you.
Very good. Appreciate it.
Happy Diwali to all. Diwali is one of India's largest and most joyous festivals. It reminds us of light up our lives, our hearts and our hopes with positive and bright thoughts. Let us take this day today to socialize with each other, appreciate each other's company and be thankful what we are so blessed.
Happy Diwali!